Oh, here it is. Okay. According to Adam Schefter, the Kansas City Chiefs are trading a 2026 fourth-round pick to the Chicago Bears for Pro Bowl offensive lineman Joe Thuney. Well, isn't that an interesting little dynamic here? Joe Thuney, who was hailed by everyone as basically being the hero for the Chiefs last year, moving from the inside on the offensive line, where he has been one of the very best for a long time as a guard, moving outside when they desperately needed him because they were having so much trouble at the left tackle position. And now instead they've got Thuney being traded to Chicago. This is literally something I'm getting as we speak. Can I get my football crew in here? Come on, Louis, just sit wherever you want to. If we're doing this, I need to have a conversation about it. What is our reaction? The Bears trading for Joe Thuney and the Chiefs' willingness to trade him away.
Well, yesterday, Jonah Smith, right? And going to Ben Johnson is solidifying that offensive line for his young quarterback. But for me, the Kansas City Chiefs always play chess, not checkers. So this tells me they're maybe gearing up for Ronnie Stanley be able to get the outstanding Baltimore Raven left tackle to make sure that the blind side of Patrick Mahomes is secure. They tag Trey Smith. So they have a plan. Maybe they see something, maybe some regression. This is a piece that they're moving out. They're moving out a year early, maybe not a year too late.
Look, Joe's one of the best.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's one of the very best.
He costs a lot of money.
You're right. And look, the interior three of that offensive line, if they had kept Joe and had Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, that's the best interior three in the NFL.
Yes.
I mean, obviously Philadelphia would beg to differ, but I would say they are. The problems are at tackle for Kansas City for sure. And are they going the veteran route with this, or are they going to try and draft someone? Look, I think obviously you have to try and plug this in. You have to try and find someone right now who's an option for them at left tackle. It's a little bit of a shock because, look, I think Joe Thuney is potentially a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And had he stayed at offensive guard last year, he would have been a Pro Bowler. He would have been an All-Pro player. He was just playing out of position. But if you're the Bears, look, this is exactly what you need to do. This is exactly the kind of players you need to go get if you want to really have Caleb try to ascend.
Because everything is about Caleb's development.
Yep.
Last year, you got to see he looked shaky at times. There was some flashes, but you realize in talking to Ryan Poles at the Combine, you know, he talked about there were steps missed in the development of Caleb Williams. You got to have all the pieces in front of him, right? You got to give him protection. And also, this is a critical year for a second-year player with another head coach, another guy in his ear. So I like it for the Bears. Curious to see what the Chiefs have coming up.
It's Ronnie Stanley. I'm telling you, they going big fish hunting. They need to. They dip in the Ravens all the time. They got Orlando Brown Jr. from there. They're going to go out and because they still feel like you got to protect the edges. There's too many great dynamic outside rushers. It's great to have guys in the inside, but if Patrick Mahomes can't circle the defense, step up, step out, then you have to make sure that you can solidify him. And Joe Thuney at 32 years old, you know, he may have some good prime years left. You got to get younger at the position. They don't have the money. They're creating flexibility so they can go big fish hunting.
And as far as the Bears are concerned, and we just saw that stat there from Hembo, Caleb Williams took a beating last year. There were a million different reasons for that, including the offensive system and including some of Caleb's deficiencies himself. But a legitimate concern was that they didn't address the offensive line sufficiently. And so here they are back-to-back days making moves for offensive line.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, though, Bart, is this. I mean, look, if you're Baltimore, offensive line is not like something I want to be fooling with. I mean, Ronnie Stanley is someone who I'm trying to make a priority to make sure that we keep that group of five together as well. Because remember, that unit was housing people this year. So look, I mean, if I'm Eric DaCosta right now and I'm Ozzie Newsome and I'm John Harbaugh, I'm going, do we really want to let him get up out of here?
But remember what happened, right? They paid Ronnie Stanley. He got hurt the next week. He was down for 2 years. So they didn't get their money's worth for 2 years, and they have to reset and recalibrate. Whenever you're paying all these guys, you have to redistribute the funds. And now Ronnie Stanley may have to graduate out. But I don't worry about the Baltimore Ravens identifying talent and replacing great players. They have a history of that.
I'm just saying, look, obviously the incumbent team always knows more about the player than the team that's going to be acquiring them.
Right.
Look, I would just say, look, Brett, if you're watching this show, just tread lightly because, look, his injury history is not something that Baltimore's just aware of. You have to be aware of, too. But, look, Ronnie's a bad dude when he's out there. This is just an interesting one because, obviously, we know that offensive tackle, I said that was the number one priority for me to see what happens this offseason. What do they do at offensive line? The same way when they came off of that 2020 Super Bowl and got housed by Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they got completely dominated in the Super Bowl. Frankly, they got dominated in a lot of different ways in the Super Bowl. But this was the first area that you think Kansas City is looking to address. So, again, a bit of a surprise. The breaking news here, Joe Thuney traded from Kansas City to Chicago. The Bears looking to remake their offensive line, and eventually Kansas City will do. Our next game is called Fill in the Blank. Hey, Bartholomew Scott. The Minnesota Vikings, with J.J. McCarthy as their starter, are what?
I think they're still Super Bowl contenders because they have a lot of salary cap to build around a young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy. We've seen this system be successful with Kirk Cousins, the revitalization of Sam Darnold, and I think J.J. McCarthy is a guy they can win with. They can stack the deck. Cheap quarterbacks, big check.
You know, Kmart, in your notes, you filled in the blank by saying they are a big fat question. What does that mean?
Yeah, because maybe Bart knows something I don't.
I do.
But I've never seen J.J. McCarthy in the NFL. If you're going to bring up the point about Cam Ward, we know what Cam Ward is in college. We don't know what he is. Like the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. We've never seen him. So, yes, you can plug and play. I believe in the Vikings system of coaches. I believe in that defense and the weapons that they have. But to say, oh, they are clearly a Super Bowl contender, I've never seen this QB under center in the NFL.
Yeah, look, I think they are. I think they're a playoff team, without a doubt. I think I've seen enough of J.J. McCarthy, both in college and then in the brief stint that he had in the preseason there against the Raiders, although that was, I believe, week 1 and he got hurt. I believe in the fact that this kid has nothing but upside, has a lot of mental horsepower. They have a great coaching staff. I think they're going to be right there. I think they're not going to skip a beat. And I think he is just going to burst onto the scene on fire this year.
Well, what he said is cool.
But it's risky.
He said Super Bowl contender.
I mean, they're walking away from a guy who threw 35 touchdown passes last year. If indeed they do wind up walking away from Sam Darnold, it's not just assuming you're just going to plug in a young player and do that, I think is a big assumption. We'll see. Lewis, next one is for you. Fill in the blank. Shedeur Sanders being drafted ahead of Cam Ward, which could happen, would be what?
Shocking to me. It would be shocking. And look, I love Shedeur. Love his father, love everything that they accomplished at both Jackson and in Colorado. But I will tell you this. Look, I just think Cam Ward is uniquely qualified to be a franchise quarterback, both in terms of his mental makeup, his story, what he has been through, the resilience that he has shown. And then let's just get to the football part. You want to talk about a guy who has a lot of mental horsepower, who has the quickest release in college football, who can see the entire field and touch the entire field as well or better than any quarterback in this draft, and who did it at a consistently high level as measured by every metric, whether it be in the pocket, outside the pocket, against pressure, clean pocket. He aced them all this year. This is his time. He'll be the first quarterback.
Mel mocked Shedeur Sanders to the Jets at 7. You were just at the Combine talking to people. Is it your expectation he will still be on the board at 7? I am of the belief he will get drafted earlier than that.
I thought so too, but we always see from the time the Combine comes to the time April hits that guys move up and down. Shedeur is interesting to me because I think now we're seeing a lot of the commentary about his personality. Talking to people, I've heard that he is brash. So